This is Bill Boerum this morning. I'm very happy to have um, colleagues in the world of citizen diplomacy, both across the United States and also across Russia. Our many friends there with whom we are working to revive and extend, enlarge the relationships and even make them more active than many of them have been in the past. So we have a special interest group this morning, which has come out of our roundtable system, which also came from remarks that I have made in Volgograd, and also more pertinently by Carol Robertson Lopez, who wrote to the mayor of Volgograd. So we've got a number of things to do on our meeting this morning of 1 hour. So let me be very happy to introduce Carol Robertson Lopez of Santa Fe, New Mexico, a former member of the city council and currently the chair of Sister Cities International. Carol.
Thank you so very much, Bill. It's such a pleasure to be with everyone today. Uh, our new ability to meet together utilizing Zoom has certainly brought us much closer together. I'd like to start by acknowledging Mayor Lukachev, and I may have mispronounced his name, but I can tell you, I'm so impressed by this mayor and the fact that this mayor is interested in engaging in this dialogue. We have been involved for many years on the dialogue on the Volga, peace and mutual understanding in the 21st century. And we have many exciting programs going forward. I'm particularly excited about the Volgograd Regional Children's Art Gallery. It is so exciting to me that there be a competition that helps bring our cities closer together. And I really commend Maria Diva, who is the one that's been working on these programs, as well as many of you here. Sister Cities continues to be committed to building world peace through mutual respect and cooperation, one person, one community at a time. Right now, at the national level, both of our countries are engaged in their diplomacy. We are engaged in citizen diplomacy, and that's reaching out one to one to look at our commonalities and how we work together to continue to promote mutual respect and cooperation. I commend my friend Bill Boerum, who has served as the chair of the Sister Cities organization for 2 years and also brought to us many new ties with Russia through his many connections. We're very grateful for Bill's work and for all of you being here today. Thank you for joining us for this roundtable at a time where our work is more important than ever. Thank you very much, Bill, for the opportunity to address this wonderful group.
Well, thank you very much, Carol, and I've really appreciated your open-mindedness and your support for this particular project. It's still in the early concept phases, but you were very quick to pick up on it. So again, thank you, Carol. And I see that additional people are joining us. If there's anyone who has not received a direct invitation from me about this meeting, please enter your contact information, your name, affiliation, and your email address, and I'll put you on the list for this group. So I just wanted to make that housekeeping note. So now it is my pleasure to meet and introduce to you Sergei Ushakov, who somehow in my several visits to Volgograd, I have not met before. So many wonderful people there that have extended great hospitality to me and openness. So, Sergey, we're ready to listen to your remarks.
Thank you very much, Bill, for your representation. So my name is Sergey Ushakov, and I'm greeting you from Volgograd. On behalf of the Deputy Head of International Regional Relations Directorate of Volgograd Administration, I'm glad to see all of you here. Our municipality value such projects that allow to enhance cooperation and comprehension between people. Rivers always had such a crucial role for people. They feed, they link, and they unite. And such great rivers as Mississippi and Volga have even greater influence over social, economic, and cultural development. And that is perfectly seen through the works of Mark Twain and Maxim Gorky. So, and now I'd like to give a word to my colleague Maria Dieva, because she have prepared a presentation for you, and in that presentation you can see our vision and current efforts on the field of public diplomacy. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Sergey. Again, wonderful to make your acquaintance. And I look forward very much to meeting you in person on my next visit there, which hopefully will be not too long in the future. So now let me make my very good friend Maria, and I've known Maria for almost 6 years now, always very supportive and a tremendous asset to the city of Volgograd. So she's going to give us a presentation. Let's see here. I've got to put you on the other, there it is. Make Maria the host. There you go.
Okay, done. So I'm now the host, and there should be an opportunity for me to do some screen sharing. However, I don't see it. Ah, here it is. Let me just show you my screen. Can you already see anything? Like a presentation, a very neat one that begins with the Great Rivers Project, Volgograd suggestions.
Not yet. We just see a, there we
It's
go.
coming up.
There it is.
Now?
Yeah.
They're coming
Yes.
up. Okay. And I put it all down. And it doesn't put it. Okay. Yes, finally. Sorry for the long start. So dear colleagues, once again, hello everyone. I represent the city of Volgograd, which is previously known as Stalingrad and currently named after one of the very rivers we are talking about. So it goes without saying that Volgograd is very enthusiastic about the Great Rivers Project. And among the suggestions that our Mayor Likhachov has already submitted to the Sister Cities International is the following one. How do I change slides? Yes, to do a joint Russia-US roundtable on tourism this November. We believe the topic of tourism to be of interest to many participants because the pandemic has already made us reconsider our traveling opportunities and drew the attention back to internal tourism. Moreover, we suggest to make this roundtable a part of the International Forum Dialogue on the Volga. So let me explain where exactly we are inviting you. This would be a unique in Russia event held annually in Volgograd and timed to coincide with the World Cities Day, October 31st. The full title is Dialogue on the Volga, Peace and Mutual Understanding in the 21st Century, and the designation is an International Forum of People's Diplomacy. People's diplomacy is different from the regular diplomacy in a way that it is not done by professional diplomats or statesmen. It is done by regular citizens, hence its other name, citizen diplomacy. When school and university exchanges are realized, for example, when cross-cultural events are done, it's all people's diplomacy, and it all amplifies the mutual trust and understanding between countries. Among the most prominent Actors of people's diplomacy are sister cities. And here's why this is especially meaningful to Volgograd. It is Stalingrad and the British Coventry that are believed to be the founders of the international twinning movement. Back in 1944, when Stalingrad and Coventry reached out to each other through the hardships of war, they made the first public agreement on continuous intercity friendship. Since then, the sister city movement has grown thousandfold. I'm sorry, I think there are, what, 3 more persons joining? No, sorry. Volgograd too has since accumulated a prolific experience of intercity diplomacy. Currently, we have over 40 partner and sister cities in Russia and abroad. Since 2015, Volgograd has made people's diplomacy a part of its development strategy. And the concept of Volgograd as a capital of people's diplomacy is the very basis on which the dialogue on the Volga Forum was born, a basis supported by the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs too. As a result, the list of the forum's participants features experts from all walks of life, not only politicians of different levels, although we do pride ourselves on seeing between them members of the European Parliament and members of the Russian Federal Assembly, but also those who represent academic, cultural, educational institutions, business community, and intercity organizations from many countries. The aim of the forum is to build on international cooperation and community links, which with time will result in the more effective resolution of the most pressing world problems and allow for the world's peaceful development. These are good and global aims, and so the event, which became as an initiative by the city of Volgograd, has now added to the list of its organizers both the administration of the Volgograd region and the Russian Federal Agency for Humanitarian Cooperation, known under the long name of Россотрудничество. The forum itself has grown significantly too, as can be attested by the continually increasing numbers of its participants and the countries they come from, even despite the pandemic, because last year we had the first ever online edition of the event. And this year, for example, it will be held online again. Russia-US cooperation in particular is a recurring theme of the forum. Here I must especially mention Mr. Bill Boerum, who has been a prominent expert of our panel discussions and roundtables for several years in a row already. Thank you very much for this. Then Volgograd is twinned with Cleveland, and recently they have also been joined by our colleagues from Ohio. And last year, we were lucky to have Ms. Carol Lopez herself, the chair of Sister Cities International, as an expert. All this allows us to hope that the roundtable dedicated to the Great River Project will be a success as well, especially because to organize it, we invited 2 most prominent organizations. The first one is, of course, the Sister Cities International, the initiating the think tank behind the initiative. And for the Russian side, it will be the Volga Region Cities Association, the one uniting cities standing on the Volga and sharing many similar issues, which means that it has also accumulated a good experience in resolving these issues. We sincerely hope that the US cities, their officials, and their city-founded organizations will be involved in our forum too this year. And in this aspect, rely on your support and your interest. Our another important partner is Volgograd Regional Children Art Gallery, which is known for its beneficial location and for its both serious and inventive attitude to children art, to education in the area of art, and how to organize it entertainingly. With this, I thank you for your attention and hope that we can push the boat out. I am done.
There we go.
And I'm ready to bring back Bill as a host.
Very good. Well, Maria, that was a very excellent and very articulate presentation about the forum and its work. I really commend you. There's so many elements to it, and the forum and its participation has truly increased over the years. And I will also say one of the impressions I've had is the very active participation of experts from Germany and from various cities there. And I often point this out to people that if the Germans and the Russians can have a effective and civil dialogue, then I think any two countries in the world can follow that example. So thanks again for your presentation, Maria. Wonderful. And I think if anyone wants to receive that, they could put their email address in the chat, and you could send it to them. I'm certainly going to ask that you send that to me. So again, thanks very much. So, well, I'm coming to another topic here, which I just added after a conversation earlier this week, and I will betray my age by the next topic, which is remembering Roswell Garst. I don't know how many people will shake their heads and remember that name, but as a high school junior, I remember the visit of the premier of the Soviet Union. I think he was the premier at the time, certainly secretary of the party. Nikita Khrushchev visited Iowa, and that was an incredible, I don't know if any head of the Soviet Union had ever visited the United States before. So it generated a lot of interest, and the, if I may say so, the rambunctious and sometimes jovial and fun-loving Khrushchev had quite a time with the American press. And I was very happy to discover that Roswell Garst, who was the farmer that Khrushchev visited with, his great niece is with us today and is quite interested in this project. So let's see, where is Jessica? Is she on the, Jessica, pipe up there. Where are you?
I'm right here, Bill.
There you go, okay. So in a few minutes, tell us, broadly speaking, for those who were not young enough to remember that wonderful visit, which had
Well,
so much.
first, I want to thank you, Bill, for allowing me to join this conversation. So as Bill said, I am the great niece of Roswell Garst, but also John Crystal. That might be a name that some will remember. And all of us are gathered here today in part because of their legacies and their shared belief in citizen diplomacy. From the end of World War II until Stalin's death in March of 1953, the USSR during that time was seen as today's equivalent of North Korea in the minds of many Americans and frankly our own government. So my uncle took a risk on editorial written in the Des Moines Register by Lawrence Soff in February 1955 with the shared belief that who serves best, profits most, become less afraid of each other, we have a better chance at easing tensions between our two societies. And they understood the importance as a buffer and promoting and building peace as an essential shared story, Russia and our humanitarian heritage. So that July, against all odds, a Russian delegation landed in Iowa long before the official state visit in 1959 by Khrushchev. It was sponsored by the Iowa State College, now known as Iowa State University. It was a 36-day planned trip in Iowa and around the Midwest, made up of 12 Soviets and 12 Americans, and Roswell was one of those that took part in it. The trip was permitted and considered a breakthrough in international relations, which had which led to an invite for Roswell in 1956, when Khrushchev and his relationship really started to form, and Roswell successfully negotiated the sale of 15,000 tons of a hybrid seed to aid Khrushchev in his egg policy endeavors. Using food as a shared language, I don't think my uncles ever could have foreseen, as unofficial ambassadors of American agriculture, that their first exchange and the many more that came over the last 4+ decades up until my Uncle John's death in 2000 would have led to the dozens of exchanges that we've had, the trade agreements and associations we've had, and the multiple sister city and sister state agreements that have taken place. Some of those who stayed with us during my childhood on my grandparents' farm, I've invited to our meeting today. I don't know who's here, but I think it's a testament to the lasting impact of citizen diplomacy. And that is part of the reason I offered to join this project, because of my own experiences within citizen diplomacy with my family, and on my own with Russian, Chinese, and visitors from Tajikistan, and seeing the parallels between 1959 and now in rhetoric and the diplomacy that's going on between our governments, knowing that no matter what our leaders may say or do, we have nothing to lose and much to gain through this partnership.
And Jessica, you might just quickly say, what was the aftermath of Khrushchev's visit with your great uncle? That was, again, quite a big public relations story in 1959, but did he continue to do business with Russia by selling hybrid seed?
Yes, he did. And once Roswell became sickly, my Uncle John took that over. And there were multiple delegations that came between Iowa and Russia. Eventually, during the collapse, our governor, Jerry Branstad at the time, my Uncle John, and others came together with their sister state relationship in Star Pool and brought aid to the Soviets. And delegations kept going over, and there was the formation of agribusiness centers that Jerry Perkins ran.
Well, very good. I think anyone has any curiosity about this, just put it on Google search Roswell Garst, and you'll be treated to a lot of interesting photographs, I must say, about that visit, which was a tremendous episode. So thanks very much, Jessica, for reminding us about not only your great uncle, but other members of the family who've carried on the tradition of economic relations between the United States and Russia, and that these can do a lot simply just in people-to-people diplomacy. So thanks very much. Okay, and why don't you put your email address in the chat in case anyone has any further questions for you. All right. Well, let's move on to the next item in our agenda, which is scoping this project, and certainly open to suggestions from any and everyone on both sides here. I think one of the things that happened in our last roundtable meeting was the very good suggestion to include the tributaries of the Volga and the Mississippi in this project, that not just limiting it to those rivers and the cities on them. So I would like to mention the names of certain cities so that maybe we can have some consensus agreement here as to what the tributaries would be in. So we have of the Mississippi, the Missouri, which is the largest. In fact, actually, Missouri may well be longer than the Mississippi, I think by 12 or 15 miles, according to Wikipedia anyway. So we have the Missouri, the Ohio, the Arkansas, the Illinois, and the Wisconsin rivers, maybe even the Red Rivers. So we've got about 6 possible tributaries of the Mississippi that can stretch out this whole river basin and economic region of the American Midwest. So I mention those names so that maybe we may carry them forward in our conversations. And again, that we would have cities along these rivers. Any further comments by anyone on the American side about the appropriateness of these tributaries, which I think the Wisconsin may be the shortest at 400 and something miles. Any comments on the tributaries of the Mississippi?
Well, Bill, just say, as the group that sits on the Missouri and the Mississippi, we are all for including our neighbors. So I think we would support that.
Very good. Well, thank you very much, Stella. Stella and I had a very nice conversation earlier in the week, so appreciate your support. Well, turning now to the Volga, we'll rely, of course, on our Russian friends to identify which tributaries of the Volga should be in the concept or in the vision. And I've got 4 here, and I'll be interested in the reactions to add or subtract names. I've got the Kama, the Oka, the Vetluga, and the Sura. So who knows geography in Russia?
Well, what about Samara?
What's that one?
What about Samara?
Oh, okay. All right. Very good. That's why we're asking the question, Samara.
Yep.
Good addition. Any other comment about the Russian rivers to be in this vision? No? Okay. Well, very good. And as to the themes, you know, I had kind of it as a subheading that we'd be concerned with primarily industrial and agricultural development, those 2 broad categories. You could call it economic development, but at least for the moment, it's a little more specific to say industrial and agricultural. So any particular that, and then environmental impact, and then cultural exchanges, as has already been suggested by the mayor and Maria's presentation. Any other thoughts on the top level themes or topics that we'd want to have a focus on? So comments from anyone? No? Okay, well, we'll carry those forward in the communications here, those areas. Okay, one of the other things that does have to be done is to identify on both sides which cities that we want to approach. So on the US side, I would like to have a couple of people, US volunteers, and you could put this in the chat if it's more convenient for you. I would like to have a couple of volunteers who can help to identify the cities along the way, of which St. Louis is certainly in that picture. No doubt about it, right on the river. So that's what I have in mind. What cities should we have on our prospect list to invite into this project? So anyone, oh, I see Susan, go ahead.
Dubna and La Crosse, Wisconsin are not, it's not my sister city, but it's a very active sister city relationship. And La Crosse, Wisconsin is right on the Mississippi River, beautiful little city. And I have been wondering, our city, Stevens Point, we're a sister city with Rostov-Veliki. We are on the Wisconsin River. And Rostov-Veliki is close to the Volga. I think the Volga flows through Yaroslavl, correct? So Yaroslavl is not that far from Rostov-Veliki, but I have been wondering, I haven't approached anyone in Rostov-Veliki yet to see if they would be interested. But I'd like to hear from some of the Russians here today who might know how the watershed or if there would be a connection to Lake Nero and Rostov-Veliki as far as the Volga River goes. Anyone?
Anyone? Anyone that can venture a comment? Well, we'll have to pursue that offline, but I want to thank you very much, Susan, because, you know, I think it was you who started this idea of the tributaries during the roundtable last time. It hadn't come up before. I think you had suggested the Wisconsin River as being part of that watershed, as you call it. Yeah. Well, okay, so I hope I will see a couple people who will offer to help identify the cities along the Mississippi, Missouri, and the other rivers that could be in this. Okay. And I've just admitted a very good friend of mine, Elena Parabonshaya, who is the director of the Center for Public Diplomacy at Volgograd State University. Thank you very much, Elena, for joining us. I don't know whether you've caught all of my comments, but usually the second day of the forum is at Volgograd State University, which has always been very hospitable. So Elena, welcome to you. All right. So let's see, I guess I would hope that from the standpoint of our overall working group, that there could be a couple of people who would volunteer on the Russian side to, at least initially at this point, connect with Maria. If I can Maria, I will volunteer you so that anyone on the Russian side who wants to identify the cities along the tributaries that we would have on our list to eventually approach. So please do, I think Maria did put her email address in the chat, and I always circulate the chat. Do that. So anyone on the Russian side, please help identify the cities in this. Okay. Any comments on scoping the project? All right. Well, let's go on to our next item on the agenda here. Yeah, anyone else? No? Okay. Which is the major milestones. And again, I'm quite open. This is a collaborative effort, quite open to identifying the top level milestones in this project. And I would like to have one or two volunteers, for that. They could be in touch with me to identify the milestones. So the first to me would be the data gathering. And we're trying to do that right now, looking for cities and confirming the tributaries. So data gathering is a phase. And then another phase is composing the working group. And ideally that would be city administrators and volunteers, a group of maybe 5 to 10, hopefully about 10 Americans and Russians who would have the overall responsibility for guiding the project.
Bill,
Yeah.
there was a question in the chat room that I know you're busy running the meeting, so you can't see the question, but if I could share it, it might be a question everyone has. And it's from Tatiana, and she wants to know, what will the product of the project be? Roundtable talks, presentations, video film, cultural event, or ?
Well, thanks very much, Carol, for catching that. I just saw it go by quickly and I wasn't going to ignore it, but thank you for bringing that forward and for Tatiana asking that question. I think one of the most tangible products, so to speak, would be some kind of conference or summit meeting, which would then, address by representatives from both sides the major themes of industry, agriculture, environmental impact. So I think some gathering, and out of which would flow other activities, which would include what Tatiana has mentioned, any of those. So I think it's dependent on the energy and resources of this group. We don't have a secretariat. We have no administration. And Sister Cities Sister Cities International has its own current projects. So we can't impose on them for another project like this. It has to be self-driven, self-sustaining. So if that's of answer to Tatiana's question or concerns of anyone else. Comments, thoughts? Well, this was going to be in the milestones I was mentioning. So there's data gathering, composing a working group, and the next would be, as I see it, a virtual session that could come after the International Forum in Volgograd, where I think we've already accepted participation of a roundtable, specific roundtable that was suggested by the mayor. So a virtual conference could be held on this topic after the International Forum. So that would be a milestone, and that could set the stage for an in-person conference in Russia in 22 when we're all traveling again. So those would be the milestones I see. Data gathering, formation of the working group, a virtual session, and then the in-person session. Those to me would be the major milestones. Thoughts about that or suggestions for other milestones? And these are without dates, except for the virtual session. Further thoughts?
Bill.
Yeah, Mary.
Okay, hi there. And I put this also in chat, but the topic, of major rivers, great rivers is just huge. And I'm believing that one of the components is going to be on resilience and sustainability as it relates with tourism, as economic development. And I believe if you are able to identify this as one of your discussion points going forth, there's quite a few other entities that your group might partner with or could seek grant money from that might help provide the Secretariat concept for continuing the dialogue and being sure everyone's informed and following up. But all of the topics are just filled with great potential partners to leverage this dialogue. And if you keep doing this, moving forward like you are, this is going to create a marvelous model for other country groups like in Europe or, my gosh, the Nile River, the Amazon, etc. So if we can get supporting partnerships, that would be hugely helpful for your initiative. Just a thought, but I love what this group is doing.
Thank you very much, Mary. As usual, you brought very good focus to the conversation. So thanks for those suggestions and adding to the major themes that we can address and make it a more robust dialogue and events going forward. So again, thanks very much for that. You mentioned partnerships at an earlier meeting today, which also involved a Russian partnership, and that's San Jose with Ekaterinburg. The idea was brought up of involving Rotary International into this picture, because Rotary has been growing successfully and rapidly in Russia and has a tremendous network, of course, in the US, and Sister City International, and Carol and or Mary can remind me of past efforts that have been made to partner with Rotary International. So that would be certainly, whether they're a source of funding, but at least they can be a participating entity in this. So very good. Daniel, did you have a question or just anything? Daniel Clark? No. Anyone else have any comments?
Yes, may I please try to do a quick roll call among the Russian cities that are present today? Dear colleagues, I see many Russian last names. Could I please ask you what the situation is with ecology and sustainable development in your cities in the following way? Is it your city administration that is responsible for ecology, or is it your regional administration? Could you please, for example, write in the chat, 1, if it is the city that's all about ecology, and 2, if it is the regional government that is about ecology for you. Because it will let us maybe understand if this topic is really plausible for Russian cities.
Very good.
Is my question clear?
Okay. Yeah, so do put that in the chat.
Ms. Grigorieva, and in the city administration, there is no like committee on ecology or anything. Because it's the same situation, I believe, is in Volga-Grad.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, very good. So let's see, we've moved down to the major milestones, Pat, and now let's go to the next item on the agenda, which is the project teams. So if you would please put in the chat or send to me, Bill at vom.com, Bill at vom.com, and I speak, what you could help me with, again, because we don't at this time have a secretariat or administration team, and we do want to work on those themes. Let's see. Well, that's what I have so far for the meeting. Any open comments that people would like to make at this point? Carol.
Yes, I needed to unmute myself. I found it fascinating, the number of comments that I've been seeing on the chat side to talk about tourism, that our rivers do in both our nations have a huge emphasis on tourism. Is that a shared interest? I believe it might be, because in terms of the economies along our rivers, tourism is a huge part of what generates the economy. So I would be interested to hearing how important tourism is to the cities on your great river. I don't know if Maria Devo can comment on that or not.
Well, for us, tourism was actually the topic that we can discuss already on the city level, because our committee on youth initiatives and tourism is exactly the one that came up with the ECHO initiative, which was the only ECHO part in the letter we sent you. And they are doing a very active work.
Anyone else that would like to make a comment? Right. I would say, is that Thomas there? Thomas?
Yeah, I just more and more you hear about the future struggles of the world being, sort of focused around water, and upcoming, struggles of nations that are, lacking in said water. And then you think about how, the big rivers of the world have been abused as sources of effluent for industry and sewage and such, and it's a constant struggle. So I think that, maybe and we have this issue. I'm from Louisville, Kentucky, and we're on the Ohio. We have this issue with our general public in this sort of concept, or the feelings of the river. I mean, I'm a river rat, basically, a local person who grew up on the river, sort of, fancying myself as a child as a sort of a Huck Finn, Tom Sawyer type. But most of the general public in my city see the river as something that they would not touch with a 10-foot pole, like sort of a nasty, yucky thing. Now, I teach at the university here, and this winter, on our faculty, we have a professor of humanities who does a lot of swimming. And since there was COVID and he couldn't go to swimming pools, he was doing long distance swimming in the Ohio, accompanied by friends with kayaks, in the coldest of weather. So I think, some kind of like maybe a connection of long distance swimmers of various areas, various rivers, maybe some, well publicized big swims of like, of people who do this. I mean, this guy has done the English Channel and all these big swims, but that might be some kind of, opportunity to show that the river is not just like the world's, sewer, but it's something that, needs to be, I mean, it's just, we have to start thinking about our water, and not just, what comes out of the faucet, but, what flows by our cities.
Beautiful.
Yeah, very good, Tom. Wonderful images evoked by that comment, and activities as well. I mean, that draws a lot of interest when people are swimming in rivers, as some of them have been restored. Okay. Well, very good. I look forward to reading the chat myself directly and circulating it on. I did want to point out, speaking earlier with Jessica, she had expressed interest in helping out on what's coming to be known as Ag Tech. So she's going to be on that team. So anyone that would like to volunteer for Ag Tech or any of these themes, please express that to me and we will get going. So again, thanks everybody for your participation in this. And I did want to set another date for a meeting out there to see where we are. And I was thinking of about 5 weeks from now on April the 29th. So we'll do another Thursday meeting, and hopefully some of our teams will be in gear and reporting on some results. So that you can note that, April 29th, the same hour. And if there's anyone you want to add or invite to these meetings, please let me know. So thank you very much, everybody, for your participation and thoughts. I think we're off to a great start.
And Bill, if I
Yes.
can just congratulate you for continuing to bear the torch to keep our relations between Russia, sister cities, and the United States. Thank you so much for your ongoing effort to bring us all together.
I'd like to
Carol.
second that, Bill. Thank you. I was thinking of that just today. Thank you very much.
Very
I think
good.
when relations might be a little more difficult during these times of the pandemic and politically, this is ever so important. And thank you for this coming together of people from both our countries and locales. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Susan. Okay, bye-bye all.
Goodbye.
Bye. Great to see everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you.